Hello, I am Insert. That is a nickname that I sort of go by. I go by a few others too, but I won't get super into that right now. Maybe they'll come out through time. Um, I apologize if this video seems more formal, stiff, rigid, just very overall, corporate, just stagnant, just stiff. Like I'm using it more as a cliff notes, so that's wonderful. But I'll kind of just more get to the point. I'm making this more or less strongly because I believe I should make it. I've had some people say I should, and I should just dive right into making videos and other things like that. And although I respect their opinion, I disagree with it, and I'm doing this mostly for my sake, myself. It's meant to be both a sort of promise slash look back slash little diary to myself, as well as it's meant to be a sort of like pin on the fucking channel as a reference point from me to all of you to what we're supposed to be doing, what we're me, and where I want to take this. And I feel like if I keep my expectations realistic and I set my my efforts up front clear, it'll go generally smoother long term, and I'll be able to talk more fluently, make content I'm more passionate about, be able to focus on that sort of stuff. So overall, it's not the best thing, but I feel like this is more of a personal thing than anything. So I'm gonna stick with it. So firstly, I feel like I should talk about what a few of my goals for the channels are. Channels, yes, multiple. No, I mean this one specifically. First, I kind of want this channel to be a bit of a sort of video art log for myself. I kind of want to be able to do it to see what I've done, where I'm going, personal philosophy, sort of like just being able to look back and just being able to see if I'm stagnating, if I'm plateauing, if there's something in my content which I seem to really enjoy in the past and I'm just hitting a bad art block or something like that. Just something that I can stand behind, kind of refresh myself on and look at it and be like, yeah, that's what I'm missing. Or like if I may be feeling down, I can look back and be like, wow, I actually improved, like, notably. Another goal around this channel is, again, very corporate. I know this is delicious. But I basically want to make a diverse community which is welcome. And I know a lot of creators already kind of say this. They're like, oh, we're LGBT friendly and everybody is welcome. But, they kind of relax a bit too bit on that. Like they embrace it, but at the same time, they also don't necessarily have that as a sort of key point. Like, I want to make a commitment where basically, like people that are of various races and sexualities, genders, all that stuff, although I'm not the best to talk on it, I still want them to be able to feel accepted. I want them to be able to feel like they're welcome. I do not want this to be gated in any sort of way. Whether you're, like a quote unquote squeaker, 6 years old, just starting out, or, like you're like 50 years old, like I want you to feel welcome. And although you might not necessarily respect me or my content, I at least hope the community that I can inspire will be better than whatever I can make. It's a nutshell. On top of that, I also hope to inspire the community to be able to create. My thing is that there's a lot of ways to cut this, and I'm gonna keep it brief because I'll probably make a video about this in the future. But long story short is that I want to basically have the community that I'm trying to foster, that I'm trying to create, emphasize qualities that I enjoy, like creativity, and self-expression, and all that wonderful stuff. So I really want to push that out there and make sure that people feel acknowledged, welcome, and feel like they have some control. Even this is obviously very rough to get into, but like, even if they only have control over what they make, that is still control for them, and for some people that's enough. And I hope I can inspire people to handle that, to understand it and grow from there. And the last point is although this is a reach, I've had multiple issues with the commercial creative space, as I'm going to call it. It depends how you really want to define it. I won't go super deep into it. But long story short, think of like EA and Bethesda and all those companies, which, sure, yeah, they're creating, they're doing something, but it's become very stagnated, repetitive, boring, more about the money than anything else. Like, I believe much more in the philosophy of that if you create something good, that will inherently make profit. Look at Undertale. That as far as I'm aware is more of a passion project. Like, you still released it because, you know, like, I'm sure they want to make some kickback on it and some other things like that. But overall, Undertale, as far as I'm aware, was massively a passion project. And yeah, for like the profit that made compared to what a AAA studio makes is like person to profit ratio is ridiculous. So that's where I sit where I sit there. It's like, yeah, maybe not every game is like that, but like clearly that's like a golden bullet of like what you can do, right? Transitioning there, because I don't really know how else I would transition there without it being super rough or ugly or whatever, is I want to use this as a point to make a few promises. Not promises when I fuck up, not promises when, you know, something goes wrong or I do something bad, which will happen. I know somehow I will mess up. I do not intend to. I don't mean it with any intent of harming anybody or anything, but I know down the road I will mess up somehow, and I want to establish my core opinions, philosophies, all that sort of stuff, and basically establish that now. So when I say like in the future, because like I mess up or like, you know, like somebody asks me a question and I respond to it, it doesn't feel like I'm sitting here, like, you know, like jerking them all off, saying the absolute best thing that I can. Like, I want to establish now, out of context, while I'm a nobody, and I'm probably a nobody for a long time, but I want to establish while I have nobody on me, no eyes on me, no attention, what my sort of sort of core philosophies around the channel are. The first is whether it's peer-to-peer interaction, advertisement, or anything else related to that, if I even get any advertisements. That's fucking wishful thinking right there. I hope to keep honesty. If I am, you know, talking about something, I will talk about it in the best faith. Various of my friends and whatnot can testament to this. Very weird. But overall, I just basically want to establish that when I say something, if it is wrong, as the very old man grandpa saying is politically incorrect, various other things like that happen, I want to make it clear that I'm not saying that necessarily because I believe that wholeheartedly or I fully stand behind it. It's that I might not be able to, like I might not have a proper understanding of it yet. And I am open to developing, like, my understanding. I am open to listening to somebody's interpretation and developing from it. And when it comes to that, like the honesty thing, it's like, you know, there'll probably be a white lie here or there, like that's like expected. Everybody will say that. Everybody will say those, and those honestly aren't the issues. What I mean is like if I say something's good or bad, I hope to make sure that is, you know, something you can trust. Whether again it is or isn't a product, or whether like I'm doing a review, like of a game or art software or a movie or something like that. I hope that my content can stay specific, and that it can be something that you actually can stand behind, that you can believe, that I don't look like a shill, that doesn't feel like I'm just talking out of my ass about something. And if I'm doing a sponsorship, sure, I'll probably have to do a script to read, but like I will make sure that I won't recommend a product or service unless I actually recommend it, if that makes sense. Because there's a lot of that where you know, like people will be like, you know, like, fuck generic brand, and then they turn around and then they're like, ooh, well, generic brand sponsored me, so I'm gonna do it anyways. And like, I understand that. Like, I understand there's a place for advertising or whatnot, and I may or may not take sides on something like that. But at the same time, if I say I don't like something, but then I follow through with an advertisement on it, there might be a reason behind why I did that. It might not be purely monetary, and it likely isn't. Like, I might have talked to a developer, or I might have talked to the company themselves, and they might have changed their things, and they may have said the right things to woo me, or something else along those lines. I'm not saying it's going to be perfect, and I honestly don't even expect myself to do that. If I'm adamant to talk about it in a negative manner. But even then, like if I bring up an issue, like, I want to make sure that like I have this transparency, honesty, and all that stuff based around the channel. Because there's too many times where, you know, like, people will push something, plug something, say it's the best thing ever, and then turns around and bites them in the ass. Whether it's a product, you know, them making a video, overhyping something, yada yada. Like, I just want to make sure that, like, whatever it is that I'm doing, you can hopefully take my word on it, and you can understand where I'm coming from at the very least. Another goal is as I sort of mentioned earlier, is just like the whole, like, community thing. I won't pay in too hard to this because I kind of already said it, but, like, I want a creative career. I have zero intention of doing any other career. I have zero intention of, you know, doing like a huge startup or something like that. I mean, like, I kind of want to do a game company, but that's about as far as it goes. Even then, I want to do the game company more for the actual game development than the running it and the monetizing and all that stuff. So that's where I stand on that. Just to, like, kind of address that earlier. And then to carry on, this may sound bizarre, I've already kind of said it, but I'll say it again, is that I want to make a commitment publicly, again, before any issues happen, that I have a commitment to change. If I mess up, I say something wrong, something like that, I want to have the reasonable understanding that whoever's watching the video will be able, I want to have the expectation for myself that I will do an adamant thing to correct it. So, for instance, if I say in a video that that, like, oh, maybe this person did this thing, and then if I find out that's false later, somehow, with a sufficient enough source or material to back it up, other than he said, she said, they didn't do that, then I'll do my best to correct it. I probably won't take down the video and re-upload it, because that's honestly a lot of work for a small correction, but I'll probably do something like a pinned comment. Whereas, like, yeah, sorry, messed up here, this is actually the case. And I might edit and go back further if that was also messed up, or there's something else that I have to add on to that or something like that. And then again, when I mess up, because I know I will mess up somehow, I don't intend to, but it will happen. It's just human nature, and you will mess up somehow. You have to expect it. When I do, I hope that people can understand that I am not trying to be malicious with it. I'm not trying to be aggressive about it. Again, I grew up in my own culture. Or not my own culture, but like I grew up in a certain culture. So things within my like my culture, the culture that I grew up in, may or may not be correct to some people. Which those are and aren't, I can kind of already tell and can't tell. But if there's something that I do say, there's something that I do, there's an opinion that I have that isn't backed up properly or something like that, I want people to reach out to me to try and correct me, to try and, you know, to educate me. I don't want to be one of those people who comes out on the defensive. Oh, well, you're not like, well, this person did this, so we should cancel them, yay. No, like, again, I will mess up. I fucked up before. I will fuck up again. I know that is a promise of mine. That is a self-fulfilling philosophy or whatever. But again, when I do, I hope that instead of people, you know, like, making like 50 videos or like hundreds of tweets being like, oh, let's cancel this person, I hope that people feel like they can come to me and that they can properly, you know, address what I did. Like, I have a public Discord. My Discord, like my personal Discord, the one that I main, is not private. I don't have any private Discord servers that I'm a part of or anything like that. All of them that I'm in are public, as far as I'm aware, at least. I mean, there's a few friend Discords that I'm in, if I'm being completely transparent, but I basically don't take part in those. So getting a hold of me, contacting me, correcting me, shit like that, it isn't a terrible thing. And I want to make sure that's clear, is that I do not intend for any of this to come across as a very aggressive thing. I don't intend for anything I say to be set in stone. I will stand behind my opinion if it is not, like if it has logic backed up behind it, as I think anybody should. And if you're unable to dispute that logic, then obviously I won't just change my opinion because, oh, you said so. But again, I hope that my development has not stopped as a creator and a person. And I hope as I move forward with the online community that I can do my best to adjust to it, to say the very least. Okay, so now that most of the serious stuff is over with, I feel like I should talk a little bit more on the content that I want to make, upload commitments, long-term goals, stuff like that. So the first thing around the content that I want to make, because I already kind of addressed a few times, is the content I want to make, I want to be creativity based, whether that is direct or indirectly. So what I mean by that is that you can essentially take away something from it. So like, let's say you're an artist, I might do some like drawing videos where I just do a live stream and take it very easily, and then you can kind of see what techniques I'm using and how I'm experimenting or what methods I'm using, and like, because I'm live streaming, I'll probably depending on what live stream I use, Discord and Twitter would be the best place to check on what I'm actually streaming on. Actually, I've already kind of thought about this. The way that I'm basically going to commit it is that I might adjust this in the future, but Twitch will be for gaming, for like game reviews, right? Or sorry, while I'm playing a game. The YouTube live stream will be for like community stuff. So that'll be, kind of like drawing Q&As, general Q&As, maybe a little bit more push and shovey community stuff. And then Picardo.tv will be generally for my art streams. Because due to YouTube's NSFW filters and Twitch's over-the-top modding, I don't want to risk my channel in any sort of way, either of those channels. So I feel like having them separated would be good on the regards of that I can properly structure everything out, and that if you get a notification from Twitch that I'm streaming, you know what it is. It isn't one of those things where you're going to sit there and be like, oh my god, like, are they finally playing that game they said they would or no? Are they doing, like you'll be able to tell at a glance. The other thing as well is that YouTube's, NSFW filters are very strict. So I want to do my best to appease the YouTube gods. And then the other thing as well regarding that is that Twitch's moderation I don't have full faith in. And we already know all the terrible stories about Twitch, which I won't go super deep into because that's not what the intention of this is right now. But long story short is that I might do a figure drawing. And if I'm doing a figure drawing, what might happen is I might draw a breast, or the nether regions of somebody might be a little bit more detailed than you're used to. And that's simply because of the artistic nature of it. It's not meant to be sexual pornographic, but it is meant to be the human body, or whatever body I decide to draw. I am not drawing anything that is underage or zoophilia based / bestiality, but you get the idea. And generally speaking, I won't even do that, but like my process does get risky at a few points, risque, simply because what I do and the way that I've learned is very construction based. So I'll do, I'll do like a loose figure drawing, then I'll do like sort of like the bones on top of it. Once I do the bones, I'll do the rough muscles. Once I do the rough muscles, I'll do the skin, kind of smooth everything out. Then I'll add, and at that skin point, even if I don't draw the genitals like on a female, because the way that the female body is, even if I do not draw the genitals at all, like I do not draw the clitoris, I do not draw the penis, the scrotum, things like that. I'm using the technical terms here because I don't want to talk about it in a very sexual manner. I want to keep it very professional in this. Due to the way that the female genitalia is, even if I'm not trying to draw explicitly, it is very easy to make it look explicit. So that's where I I don't want to risk it on YouTube or Twitch because I know they have very strict NSFW filters. When Picardo, I can go drawing full on porn if I want to, which I have. So I don't want to overcommit or overextend or anything like that with YouTube or Twitch. Like, I know I'm kind of rambling here a bit, but like, yeah, I just don't want to risk it. To address the next commitment I made regarding upload commitments, if I'm being completely honest, I've tried YouTube in the past. I've tried streaming in the past. I've enjoyed both to a degree. YouTube for a while, I tried uploading at least, and I mean at least twice a week for several months. I think it was like 6 months or something like that. And the general feedback that I got was more or less absent. It felt like way too much effort for the commitment, and I understand that to a very large degree that was my fault for not tailoring the content how I should have and not adjusting the content as I should have either. However, asterisk is that, you know, if you're doing like weekly uploads, it's I mean bi-weekly uploads minimum, you kind of set a schedule ahead of time in case something happens, and then, you know, something happens, you can kind of space out videos a bit more, like make them a bit more compact if you're doing good or something like that, right? So again, I would do that, and although it would function, it's just that it didn't feel like it paid off, because I would sit down for like 8 hours straight. I would do a long session, then I would chop that up into like, you know, like I would compress each hour into 10 minutes, roughly 10 to 20 minutes, and then from there I would you know, like edit it. Well, it's already edited at that point, but then from there, you know, like I try and make a really quick thumbnail for it that was eye-catching enough, and then upload it, try and allocate the time slots, and yada yada yada. So it was just one of those things where it's just like, it worked, it functioned, but it was not ideal. So there was also a lot of burnout that happened with it. The content that I was making, I wasn't super passionate about, yada yada yada. So that's why I'm backing off a lot more, and I'm doing more of a commitment to only about 1 to 2 videos per month, which I know is not a lot. And not just that, that's not the worst of the bad news. I intend to make no commitments to time, whether it is going to be an hour video, a 10-minute video, a 5-minute video, I do not know. But I feel like with the way that I am and the content that I want to make, it would be better to make content when I'm more passionate about something and when I actually want to get something out there and be able to put a little bit more spit, polish, shine, whatever on it, and actually be able to develop it properly. Because I'm kind of one of those people as well, just to give you a little bit more context, is I'm one of those people who thinks about something constantly. It's probably a bit of an extent of my anxiety. I have anxiety sometimes. It's mostly under control, but it's something that I can't handle. It's kind of like, you know, like how some people fidget. Like, you know, telling them not to kind of makes them more. So for me, it's one of those things where I'll generally think about something. I'll like sit on it for like a week, developing my thoughts, and then I'll finally kind of like bake it up. Sometimes it's a lot shorter, sometimes it's a lot longer, like way longer. But either way, I don't want to rush my content and feel like I'm rushing opinions. I'm rushing to get a quick answer. I'm rushing to get a quick solution. I want to make sure that my videos have a consistently thorough quality to them, to what I'm doing and what I'm addressing, and being able to develop from there. Like I'm doing this video. Like I feel like how I'm answering these is fairly substantial for what they are. Okay, on to the next point. Goals. Goals are few, but I have a few of right now that I think are long-term. Goals are few, but I can name a few that I have of right now, and a few that I can sustain more long-term, or I hope to aim for long-term. And whether it's an art medium, it may be, the goals I have are few. Some are very short-term, some are very long-term, some are kind of in the middle. None are that aggressive, but long story short is I feel like it's important for me to establish goals, what I'm aiming for, what I'm hoping to achieve, develop, stuff like that, and then hopefully I'll be able to stay somewhat on that path. So let's get into it. My goals, other than a few pillars that I mentioned, because those like pillars with the community and whatnot are goals in themselves, but but goals are something that I'm more willing to fail on. There's something where if I screw up, I feel like you know, it isn't a huge deal. When with stuff like the as I called it, the promises and the commitments that I made, and my sort of thoughts, those are to get my opinions out there, my ideas on how this is going, on where I'm going and what I want to do. Because if I overcommit to it, if I'm too aggressive, if I mess up those, that is a fundamental flaw to my character. That is something that I am personally not okay doing. Like to go back to those for 2 seconds, I am okay messing up. I know I will mess up, and although I don't want to, I understand it is a thing that will happen. It is something I will do, and it is something that will happen. And although I will do my best to prevent it, it will still happen. My thing is not how I mess up, it's what I do to recover from there. That is my big issue, my big point, my big commitment. One goal that I have with this is, this will again sound so corporate. Y'all are gonna love me so much for this. But one thing I actually hope to be able to do at some point in time is actually to be able to develop a sort of merch store. There's a few reasons behind this. I'd be lying if I said it wasn't partly monetary, because there's definitely a monetary interest to most things. Like with the YouTube thing, it's, although I do hope primarily to receive a community, to build a community, not receive. Nobody's going to give me a community like, hey, here's people that want to listen to you, have fun. Alright, so to get back on track, long story short is that despite the monetary gains that I have the potential to make, the big reason I want to do it is because, personally speaking, I've always had issues with self-worth, self-credit, things like that. And to have the idea of a successful, not just a merch store, a successful merch store, one where sales are not necessarily outstanding, but they're consistent, where people are buying it because they either want to support me, enjoy what I'm making, or both, and just having people enjoy what I make and create will just mean a ton. And as I said, there's the monetary gain as well, but like the general way that I see it is that if I make enough if I make enough monetary wise, I want to invest upwards of 90% of that back into the content that I make, back into what I'm passionate about, and then have the other 10%, go towards like savings, if I'm being honest. Like put it away for a rainy day, and then again the 90% that I can do whatever with, I hope to reinvest that, because I am passionate about art. I am passionate about being creative. I am passionate about all this stuff. So for me to be able to long term be able to do this and sustain off of that, and then as I said as well, having the ability to have people actually be into what I'm making and creating and be willing to support me would just mean a lot. And like, don't get me wrong, like I'm not asking for that now. This video, I do not want to be seen as something amazing. I do not want to be seen as my magnum opus or anything like that. I do not want to be seen as my best video. What I want this video to be seen as is a beta to what the channel is. I want this video to be seen as a promise to the community, what my goals are, and be able to have people be able to tell my intents, my goals, my things like that, where like for a new viewer, if they want to know what my goals are, if there's somebody out there who's suspicious of me, they know what my philosophies are, their opinions. And there's probably stuff that I'm going to leave out, which makes me look bad or worse or whatever. But that's just how it goes. Again, I will mess up, but I fundamentally hope to make content that people enjoy. And whether that's content where it's a video, apparel, some sort of other content like music, I just hope that people enjoy it. That is the fundamental thing. And if I had a wage where I could like pay for my housing, not have to worry about like being able to like cover medical expenses for me or my dog or medication or anything like that, and I knew all that was covered and good, I would without a question love to be able to just make everything I own public, but I mean public and free, not have to worry about monetization in any sort of way. I would give the shirts away if I could, but the thing is that, you know, like, we live in a, you know, like, capitalist society, so I have to generate my own revenue in some sort of way. Well, technically I don't have to make my own. I can just work for somebody else and they'll pay me it, which is kind of making my own still. Like, the point still stands. Yeah, super thrilling. And then to expand onto that, to lay out a loose channel goal. I'm recording this as of right now. I am recording this November 28th, 2020, on Saturday at 12:04 a.m. basically midnight. Just rounded the clock, hickory dickory clock. But my goal is by the end of 2021. It is a small goal. I still hope for it. By the end of 2021 to have 100 subscribers. I know that is small. I know that is not a lot. But the thing is with the 100 subscribers is that as I record right now, having uploaded one video before this but deleting it because I feel like that was an absolute terrible content, I have 7 subscribers now. To be fair, a good chunk of those are friends. They're just kind of like, yeah, I'm thinking of starting a new YouTube video soon. Can you subscribe to me so I can get a little bit of a boost? No. But going from there, long story short, is that I am hoping that within 1 year, roughly, like technically a bit more when I record this, but I don't know when I'll upload this. I hope to be able to have 100 subscribers, which I think is a more than reasonable goal, under the philosophy as well that I'm doing this primarily for fun. I am not doing this I'm doing it for fun and self-enjoyment purposes, which, like, not necessarily fun. Like, don't get me wrong, like, a good chunk of this is fun and I enjoy talking and stuff like that, but, like, there's more subtle aspects to it. But yeah. So I feel like that's a reasonable goal. The secondary sub goal I have with that is by keeping my goal and expectations realistic and not being like, oh, I wish for 1 million subscribers by the end of the year because I'm so entitled to it. I hope to be able to maintain an average dislike ratio of 75% roughly being positive and the other 25% being negative, because this is very early in the channel. This will be some of my worst content, where I understand that it will not be perfect. It will be rough. There'll be issues. I'll probably make mistakes. I'll say maybe something that's like fucking oopsie. Not saying I'm gonna pull a PewDiePie and say the N-word on the bridge, but you know, I might just have a bad take. Like, I might just not understand something properly. I might try something which just doesn't work and everybody hates it. And that's fine. Again, I'm willing to make the mistakes. I would prefer not to, but I understand I will, and I accept that. My thing is that I hope using the like bar, I can actually actively gauge my content and how people enjoy it. I do not want to be handed likes. I don't want to be one of those people like, okay guys, let's go, 50,000 likes on this video. Like, just absolutely padding that out. No, I want the like bar to be genuine. I want my comments to be actually genuine and meaningful. Obviously, not every comment will be, but I hope that the comments that I do receive will mostly be constructive. Like, oh, your editing was a bit slow. You're talking a bit slow. It feels like bad cuts. You know, you should have made your noise suppression a bit more aggressive. Stuff like that, right? And I understand this video. I'm probably planning to just make it very minimal. Like, probably just a looping thing in the background with my voice talking over it, because I do want to do more animated. Like I want my content to be storytelling. But with that being said, I still gotta make a lot of the assets for it. So for me to just dive into it and look at it and be like, oh yeah, story time, YouTubing is easy. Oh, I'm gonna do it. No, it does take effort. It's definitely not the hardest thing in the world, but it's not the easiest thing in the world either. And I don't wish to plateau like a lot of other storytime YouTubers do. I don't intend to be a storytime YouTuber, by the way. I might do one or two, but I don't intend to be a storytime YouTuber. I don't intend for that to be my main content. But what I'm saying is, long story short, is that I don't intend for my content to plateau. Sometimes it might seem like I'm plateauing, but like, maybe I'm refining something. Maybe I'm working on a bigger project and I need to take it easier on these videos to be able to afford to do that. various other stuff like that. And I just hope that like people are understanding. I mean, sorry, people who will watch this and my future videos can understand that. That is my big thing. I understand not everybody will, but I hope that most can. And like, don't get me wrong as well either. Like having a perfect 100% like ratio where everybody likes the video and it gets tons of views and all the comments are kissing my ass is fucking fantastic. But it is not realistic. It is not something I feel like I can reasonably expect. So it's one of those things where although I wish for it, I hope my content goes that way, I do not expect that to be the case. And I honestly hope that isn't the case either, because that will just encourage plateauing. I do hope for positive, feedback and positive whatnot. But I don't hope for my content to be repugnant, so to say. Okay, so from there, I'm going to so I believe that's basically everything I roughly want to talk about, and a bit of extra spice to really flare it up. Yeah, so if you manage to get to this point, then hey, great. If not, then so be it. I don't blame you. This is way too long. And again, this is more meant to be a personal promise to me than something that's supposed to be super amazing for somebody to watch. But yeah, not much more I can add there. Just again, hope it lays everything out for the future, and I hope in the future it all goes well. Hoping to see you along there with me. And yeah, end of video. Thanks for watching.